Hi, David Erdos with poem 7 from At the Gates. While the light behind me may make the image a little overexposed, so does the content of the poem. Dad Day. While rarely talked about now, it is safe to say he still lingers, the good-looking man my looks fail at, who left me all of those lost years ago. For today, in 1994, Tommy slipped from this earthly stream to far water, with only an empty bath to receive him as a boat on the Styx. He cargoed, away from the world he fought through, as the last years of his life proved a challenge, losing his job, home and partner, to suddenly reappear at my door. I had just started to work at that time, getting my first professional jobs as an actor. And to see his face and need naked on that street in Liverpool then hurts me more than I can express, thinking of it now, writing here as I do, as if laying my dad in verse might insult him. My only hope is that expansion through the limits language sets might convey the closeness I feel to that still bright, long-dimmed person, particularly as my grief for my mother eclipses all, and of course she also died on this day, but only 9 years ago. So how do we separate such surrenders, as well as celebrate the strength of the lives I remember in times despite hardship that were so much better than this, and where the kiss I bestowed on my dad after our last conversation tastes bittersweet, as we argued, and yet his continued memory contains bliss. For he was a safe haven, my dad, but not in a cliched way, more in calmness, good with his hands, artist, builder, constructor of shelves, architect. He had a wide smile for all, and an open and full, trusting nature. Yet, as I was typing this, I was straining not to capture the face or stocky shape I reflect, but to hear his lost voice, with which he was represented so clearly. It had a calming sound, no edge to it. Some voices are knives, his carved ease. Late on Friday nights we would talk, long before something bad happened. Watching an arty film, eating onions as if they were forest fruit, with strong cheese, in that Hungarian way, though he kept his past sealed and hidden for decades, as he and Peter, my uncle, lost their father to Nazis while sitting on my grandmother, so that the collaborators' partial mercy was stirred. Unnaturally, this was never truly discussed, and at the age of 18, Tommy travelled, all the way towards England, which despite the Suez year held the word that we know as hope, which rarely lasts. Hope just flickers. But perhaps in that flicker rests the momentary peace we all seek. And so my dad walked around and gained a cabby's former knowledge of London. With his own heart as sat-nav, he found both purpose and strength in those weeks, to become part of the aspirant middle class, at whose low end he soon laboured, along with my mother, his neighbour, when he settled at last in the streets of suburban Kenton, no less, when joined by my uncle and aunt and grandmother. And so began the sad story of my parents' slow detach and divorce, which left them both stranded in turn, if on divergent islands. My mother's well fought for, my father's relinquished, as if its rivers were stalled at their source. Hope grasped his poor heart too hard, as the smoke he enjoyed masked and misted, and that empty bath boat conveyed him upon that unknown sea to death's shore, a journey he started today. Not that he ever sailed. He swam grandly, and butterfly stroke, man as angel, slicing that sea into spirit as the thrashing foam became wings, on which he rides and rises with still, after waiting 18 years for my mother. I like to think that they sail now together, not that we can on earth know such things. but it was across the last 24 hours both died. And so I mark each day as it happens, as I do their births. It's like talking to those beyond photographs. My dear Dad, long dead, but alive, I hope, in the clamour of my still tapping need to contain him and to kiss them both through grief's mask. So many have died, and there are so many now who will know this. Even if you do not hear this poem, then I ask that you at least recognise that those you love and have lost remain forever locked deep within you. Just turn the key to release them, for they master the escape we all search for, and they are watching you now through your eyes. David Erdos, February the 11th, 2021.